Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. Borrowed my dad money and instead of paying me back he bought a PS5. My dad called me saying he was a victim of identity theft. I became very worried, so I sent him the money. We had a thorough discussion about how he would pay me back. He agreed to it the terms. Instead of paying me back, he bought a PS5 instead. He called me and told me how much fun he was having, but never mentioned paying me back. And his finances are so thin there is no way he could afford to pay me back if he did buy the PS5. I couldn't even bring myself to mention to him that he should return the money. I was just so taken aback. It's like I'm supposed to accept that he was having fun, and that because he was having fun, I shouldn't ask him for the money. That was the implication. He's done similar things many times, and always acts super resentful and spiteful of people who ask for their money back. I don't even feel I should have to ask, he clearly knows he should pay me back. So instead, I've just stopped calling him. He hasn't tried to call me either, he clearly knows and seems to be hoping I'll forget or not ask. But then last night I had a dream where we found his corpse in the bathroom. I tried to give him CPR, but I wasn't able to resuscitate him. When I woke up, I started to feel so guilty. That I'm awful for not wanting to talk to him. But reaching out to him, and asking for his love at this point just feels so degrading. He has no interest in my life, and just wants to talk about his life. I think he's on drugs again too, painkillers, which makes everything worse. I feel scared for him, but he's so far away and being around him is a deeply toxic situation for me. He's been doing stuff like this my whole life. Taking credit out in my name when I was teenager and into my adulthood, trying to get me to give him my student loan money, lying about me being a dependent on his taxes, stealing money given to my by grandparents, and on and on. He did the same stuff to my grandfather as well. I was a parentative child, and I had to take care of him and his mental health issues when I was younger. As he was always on drugs, and expected me to be his emotional support animal when he was having relationship issues, for instance. He would come into my room and talk to me all night long when I had to go to school, telling me about his problems like I was his therapist. I had to convince him not to drive a car off a bridge without telling anyone many times. He liked to constantly leave me with the mystery that he might kill himself. Another example, I had to call an ambulance when he passed out on sleeping pills once and wouldn't wake up. This sort of stuff is probably part of why I feel so much outsized responsibility for his life. All on top of being a generally emotionally abusive person, neglecting me my entire life while spending money on massive amounts of Coca-Cola collectibles, and other stuff that feels a bit beyond the scope of a Reddit post about an entitled parent. My childhood was pretty traumatizing. He was always entitled around everyone, and I always thought on some level I was exempt from it, but I never was. He's always talked so awfully behind the back of anyone who tries to ask him for money back, and I guess now he feels entitled to my money too. I know what it looks like from the other side, from him forcing me to be his confidant for all those years growing up when I should have been focused on growing up. He didn't even like me having friends, because that was taking something away from him. Especially when he didn't have a girlfriend, I became his daughter wife. I've gone non-contact with him in the past, but then I went back due to pressure from the family and this idea that somehow he might still love me. I feel like it's not worth the drama to do it again. I just wish I wasn't so afraid he will die. It's like, I really do feel like he's entitled to me. Even right now, after my dream this morning, I worry he is dead, that somehow my dream really happened in some way, and it's hard not to call him to check up on him. But I know that if I do, my mental health would deteriorate. It's like, no matter how awful he is I keep going back for more. Part of me really feels he is entitled to me. No matter what he does, I still love him, and it's like he uses that hurt me again and again. I seem to forget about his abuse, but then it returns back to me. Therapy doesn't help, because I end up getting super defensive of him again. I'll say something bad about him, and I'll feel responsible for it, and need to talk to him again for being such an awful and ungrateful child. It seems very hard to internalize this stuff. Story 2. Entitled, Parents in Supermarkets. Hey, so I don't really have a particular story to tell, but I have something that I've noticed while working at a supermarket. What's with so many parents straight up ignoring their children? Like, I'm sometimes hearing kids shouting to their parents for minutes and the parents are straight up refusing to acknowledge it. Is that some brand new parenting technique I don't know about? Because in my humble opinion that's just gonna cause the kids to grow up never wanting to talk to their parents or something. Story 3. My parents and they're my house, my rules. Hello. I need experiences, opinions, and maybe advices. I'll try to make it short. It concerns my parents and my boyfriend. My boyfriend, 22, and I, 19, are together since 5 months ago. We live far from each other, 1 to 2 hours, but we see each other every weekend. It started from a few hours, 1 day a week, to every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We've been together for 5 months only, but everything is perfect. He loves and respects me a lot. Nothing has been more perfect than being with him. I know I've found happiness. I already met his parents, and I see them regularly when I go to his house. They love me a lot, I even text his mom occasionally. He also met my parents, but only once. It went well, and they liked him. But now, I'm not sure they do. So I said that I see my boyfriend every week, starting with a few hours, to now every weekend sleeping at his place. Since more than a month ago, I spend the weekend with him and at his place for 2 reasons. We don't see each other that much, so we want to spend more time together. He lives in the countryside where it is peaceful. But my parents, especially my mom, don't like that I spend the weekend at his house. She told me a lot of things. You're only 19, you're acting like you can do whatever you want. Aren't you ashamed to bother his family every weekend? Thing is, his parents want me to sleep over at their house every weekend and they support the relationship with my boyfriend and spend more time together. If he leaves you, what will you do? You two are not married for you to sleep at his place. My house, my rules, exactly what she said. I even got threats by message from her telling me that once I come back to them, my parents, my life will only get bad, and that I should put that on my mind. Never thought she would go that far, but I'm not surprised. I know my parents want me to sleep at home where they know I'm safe, but we barely talk to each other when I come back. Even way before I sleep at my boyfriend's house. So I don't see the point to come back home on Saturday if I see him again the next day. My dad is more cool with me. He doesn't get angry, but he doesn't listen to me too. He takes my mom's side. My mom has always been protective and she restricts me a lot, even to my sister when she was younger. I barely could go out with my friends, and when I did, I had to give names and numbers to her. Never went partying/clubbing before last month as well. Sleepovers at my friends' houses she knew for years were also hard to get. I always ask her but I get a no every time, or she would say yes but get passive-aggressive. If I dared to decide or do things without telling her, she would get mad and angry at me. And since I have a boyfriend, I told myself that I should decide by myself and stop being my mom's dog. That's what I've been doing for a few months now, and I don't regret any decisions I made because I'm happier like that. We also might move out together next year because his parents will sold the house, but they would eventually rent it for my boyfriend and I. Nothing's sure yet, but it's most likely to happen. It will be hard to talk about it to my parents. But this situation where my mom keeps controlling or whatever she does to me, I need to get rid of it. Any similar situations, experiences? Or any advices, please? Thank you for reading this. Story 4. My parents are offended that I didn't share my college essay with them and never congratulate me on my acceptance. I was accepted into college and my dad, who's never finished high school, and stepmom who dropped out of college tells me I wasn't. So throughout the whole process of applying to schools there was this specific college they wanted me to apply for, which wasn't a issue. I applied, had my senior advisor send my transcripts, and turned in the essay. After this process was complete, I told my parents that my application was complete. My dad then asks to see my essay. I told him that I'd prefer not to share it and that I didn't have a copy of it anyway because I copied and pasted it to the school's website, and that was that. At first he made it seem like it wasn't an issue. Until his wife, stepmom, heard. And now they're genuinely offended. They then go on a rant about how I'm weird because I won't let them see what I wrote, and it all went downhill from here. They start accusing me of never actually submitting an application because they wanted to see the essay. So I show them a screenshot of the website saying that all the requirements, essay and transcripts, were received. This still wasn't good enough. Sometime later I receive several crazy and erratic texts in all caps from my stepmom saying that she spoke with the admissions counselor and I lied about applying and that they don't even know who I am. But when I asked her who she spoke with, she never gave me an answer. I was ridiculed and called a liar for days without any proof. So sometime later, while going through my email, I see a letter from the school stating my acceptance. So I show my dad first and he's happy, but then when I confront my stepmom and ask can she tell me who she spoke to that stated I never submitted my application, she goes crazy. She tells me to my face that what I was reading wasn't a acceptance letter. Wow. Then my dad starts agreeing with her. At this point I think they're crazy. They told me because it stated congratulations. We are pleased to offer you admission instead of you have been accepted. That it wasn't an acceptance. I didn't even receive a congratulations from me. It's like they want me to fail. All I wanted was an apology, and a congrats. So as I'm talking to them they keep going back to the essay. The one they never saw. Well, where's the fucking essay? No apology for calling me a liar and literally tormenting me. Instead they deny the truth that's in front of their face because they can never be wrong. Oh, and the reason they're so pressed about knowing what the essay said is because they're afraid it's about them. Boy, does that guilty conscience speak. When they finally admit I was accepted, I ask them for an apology and they simply tell me so what, get thicker skin, I can no longer deal with them because it will literally kill me. Story 5. Couple brought a toddler with squeaker shoes to a wedding. Some dear friends got married the other day, and it definitely was not a child-free wedding. And to the parents in attendance credit, the two toddlers were mostly very well behaved and as quiet as toddlers can be expected to be. Except for the goddamn shoes. The point at which it came to a climax of how the hell did you think this was acceptable was during the after-dinner speeches. Parents and close friends delivered beautiful speeches. When I first met Jordan, fake names used, squeak they squeak were squeak and squeak the squeak college squeak kafaskeekteria. I just stared daggers at this couple. How on God's green earth did either of them think yes, wedding, get the shoes with dog toy squeakers in them, people will definitely not hate us. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.